Hello everybody, welcome to Ben's Brick Designs. I'm Ben. Thank you for being here on a Tuesday. It is Tuesday stream day on here on Twitch with the wild hair. So Sunday worked on the globe a little bit. That's about how far we got on the globe. We got the stand done. So this was over on YouTube. I did some of that, and then today we're going to be continuing our work on the AT-AT. So we did that already. Now we're on, so we did this section already. Now we're on this section. So we're going to be finishing up these lower legs. I don't think I'm going to need to have this big old thing here. This is about how far we got on the midsection. And we're gonna do the feet now. So let's get into it. Don't have anything else really to show. No new mocks. Let's do build camera. If you look over at, I did a video about the update for what does this do? Please set up the extension in your... I'm just going to play with some stuff too because sure, why not? Because I haven't played a whole lot with Twitch, and I want to make sure that I have a good experience for fellow watchers. All right, let's see what it says now. Now it says Instagram feed. Connect to Instagram. Oh, maybe I can't do while I'm... Thought it did. Authorize. Allow. Thank you. You give access to the... Please reopen the configuration panel on Twitch. Oh, reopen. That doesn't mean I have to stop streaming. It just means I open that up now. Connected. Yay. So what does this do over here with that thing? Okay, well, all right. Doesn't show anything in the stream, I don't think. I don't know. I don't know what that does, so. Latest followers. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so let's keep building. We left off with bag 6, so let's finish off that. Six. Okay. Also, cheers. Doing a 903 hot chocolate stout. There was a network error. Try again. Uh-oh. Am I still going? Okay, apparently I am. Right on. Okay, I don't think I need this up, but I don't know. I don't know how any of this works. Bag 6. Now, we've discovered that with other bags in the Lego universe, there is one bag, but with this AT-AT, there are 8 bags per number. So there's one bag. Now these do go pretty quick because you're doing it times 4. So in this other bag, there's 2. let's see. So, news is out today. Well, since Sunday. A lot of things, a lot of news coming out lately for Lego. First, there's a Horizon Zero Dawn set coming out, and I'm here for it. Horizon Forbidden West is dropping on the 18th, so in about 2 days and some odd hours. And the set they're releasing is the long neck. I'm gonna go do some. I'm gonna do a little self-promotion here for a second, because I generally don't do this because I'm not really ever doing anything on just Twitch. So give me a second, or not, but I'll keep talking. See, I hardly ever post on here anymore. Share your content. Streaming right now. UCS at baby. So yeah, they've done a Horizon Zero Dawn. And Twitch announcements. I'm gonna do this here, I guess. Oh, I guess. Do I not get Twitch announcements when I go live? Stream promotions. I guess I'll do that here. Okay, so, yeah. It's the long neck, so that's exciting. Are we doing, is this times 4? Yeah, this is all times 4. So I'm very excited because that is literally one of my favorite games of all times. And okay. Sorry. Yeah, nobody here anyway. Yeah. Just got an alert that I got advanced to level 2 on Discord, so on someone's Discord channel. It comes with an Aloy figure, and the long neck is about 13 inches tall. And I mean, what else do you need, really? Oh my god, this is gonna be like times 16. All right, so let's do these. No, let's just do them one at a time then. All right, so that's all that. These are all that. I need my 1x1s there. Okay. And I'm very excited about Forbidden West. I didn't think the way that the game ended. It felt like it kind of could have had a sequel, but I felt like it was kind of an indie game. Not really indie, but it wasn't like a huge studio. It was Guerrilla, and they had done some really good stuff in the past. But I felt like they ended this game really well, and it didn't really need a sequel, but they did anyway. Excuse me. And so very exciting news. This is pretty good. It's a lot better than the German chocolate cake one. that was good, but it was very sweet. All right. Now we've got 3 wide and 3 wide and single tiles. Where did the single tiles go? There they are. So I know I've started about half hour earlier than normal, but I'm just excited to build this set. So yeah. I also realized that doing this at like night in the States, there's a ton of other people streaming right now. So probably isn't a good time to get new viewers, but so this grand experiment of doing Twitch on Tuesdays and Saturdays maybe for naught. Yes. Oh, I thought you were coming in here.
I am probably going to go lay down, though, after I let them out one more time. I'm starting to have some pain.
Okay. Sorry to hear that.
Okay.
Well, I know what's supposed to happen. It just doesn't feel like it wants to go in there. Gotta take my glasses off because I'm an old man. Oh, too far. Huh, well, did I do something wrong with that? Nope, that's the way it should be. All right, well, I just got to figure this out then. All right, sweet, none of those are going in. Let's make sure we did this right. That, done. I mean, this isn't rocket science. This should be it. Oh, there's one more piece. It is rocket science because that's the piece I needed. Okay. All is right with the world as soon as you read the instructions. But these are going right away now. Spent the evening putting together furniture too, so I'm in this sort of mode of, is that really what the instructions wanted me to do? All right, now let's see if we can do 12 more all at once. One, so that, 2, 3. I don't know if I got enough room over here. Let's see what else. So the yeah, the Horizon Zero Dawn tall neck was displayed. I think we already saw the Boba Fett's palace, Jabba's old palace, now Boba's palace. But also we got released, or an image released of an N1 fighter, Din Djarin's N1 fighter. So that's cool. One thing I liked about the Horizon Zero Dawn set is the price point looked really good. I think it was like something ridiculous, like 1,100 pieces for like $80 or something. It just like was really great. By the same token, I think the N1 is going to be way too expensive for the number of parts. But we'll see. And what else? So Jabba's Palace, the N1, the Horizon Zero Dawn. I think also we had Spice Girls last week. And then I think I saw a Vespa. So I've been trying to watch Promo Bricks a little more, promobricks.de. But they are kind of like leaks and rumors, I think. So it's hard for me to like actively seek them out and post anything about it, but I like looking out for it at least. If nothing more than when somebody says, "Did you see that?" I was like, "Yeah, I think I saw that somewhere." I'm obviously not going to repost any of their images, but because I think they get taken down pretty quick. So but yeah, Vespa to add to the cars and stuff. The scale is all wonky because it's going to be about as big as one of the cars. So the scale is a lot different than even between, the Fiat and the Charger or something, or the bus. But I think it'll be a nice addition to all the cars. So see how that shapes up. If it was anything else released instead of that scooter, I'd be like, yeah, I think I'll pass on that one. I don't know if I'm going to get Jabba's Palace or Boba Fett's Palace even. I might. Mostly because it's got a Pele figure and a BD1 figure. Yet again, it's got a refurbished Mando. So let's see. We didn't talk about the Super Bowl because that was Sunday night and I streamed Sunday morning. So we can talk about the Lord of the Rings trailer. Which seems to have upset a few people, I think. And I'm not exactly sure why, but I have some feelings about that as to why people might be upset about it. I think it has to do with a bit of gatekeeping and a bit of rhymes with smite fruprenacy. I think people are a little upset that their dwarf women aren't bearded and aren't white, and their elves aren't white. I don't know. I don't know enough about Tolkien to know that if at any point he mentioned in any of his writings that elves were white. Like if that was their defining characteristics. Like they are pale of skin and something. I don't remember that at all. They are fair, but you can be you can have different melanin content and still be fair, can't you? I don't know. I'm just hoping it's good. Like I can deal with changes in skin tone and gender, and I think somebody said, "Oh, there's another new character involved," like they did with Tauriel in The Hobbit. For no real reason other than to have a girl in The Hobbit. It's like, well, you know, maybe instead of redoing all these old things, maybe you should come up with your own and put people in it instead of rebooting all this stuff or remaking all this stuff. Turning stuff into, you know, this stuff was written in the 60s. Maybe you could come up with your own thing. I don't know. We also watched a movie called I Want You Back with Charlie Day and Jennifer Slate. Jenny Slate. I said Jennifer. Which is not Jewel State, which is who I get that confused with, who is Kaylee. And it was, hey, look, if you want to be on this, you got to come in here and build. Yeah. You correcting me from the back room. Doesn't matter. I have 0 watchers right now. Because I'm on Twitch and nobody's... Oh, that sounds fun. You won't watch Dr. Pimple Popper or those dermatology hair removal things, but you'll watch that?
I want to know what I'm going to have. She also said she mentioned something about a robot.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's like the method that they do now. They're so high tech.
Mr. Robert? Young lady, I see you have some stuff that needs removing.
Oh God.
Yeah, what if you got Zoidberg as a...
I had nightmares about Zoidberg removing my
Yep.
Alright, I have to lay down though.
Okay. Yeah, so this movie was charming. It was kind of a fun little... It showed up on Prime. The little ad showed up saying, something to watch, you know, a giant banner all the way across. Something to watch on Valentine's Day. And so we're like, yeah, sure, we'll watch it. A friend of mine at work was like, I watched it and I laughed my butt off. I'm like, fair enough, I'll give it a shot. And it was cute. It also kind of threw a lot of stereotypes about rom-coms out the window. It was a little weird, it was a little dark in some places, but it was really sweet and funny too. So enjoyable, I would recommend. Oh, look how nice those goes on now. So for my next trick, for my classic space base, I was trying not to use a lot of these rounded slopes, right? Not make everything too rounded. There are some pieces on there that are obviously not classic space. The mocks, the fighters over here do have some of those swoopy rounded slopes on them, but I figured that's okay for a little bit. But the base itself has been kept kind of clean of that, so it looks a little old school. That, and I'm not caring at all about old gray versus new gray. All right, we're gonna see if we can make some room for all 4 of these guys. So we can kind of assembly line them. This would have been a good, now I think about it halfway through. This would have been a good time lapse. I'm sure somebody else has already done this. I'm not the first person to build this set. I don't know if you've been aware of the Lego community lately, but there's a lot of people who have this set. So, and then I need a jumper and one of these guys. Where are the jumpers? Right there. Flush. Hey, Kodiak. You are first. Went a little early because I'm antsy about this set, so been going for a while. But I was like, I'm not doing anything else currently, so might as well. Oh, that's not good at all. This is a very small piece that I seem to have misplaced. Oh, man. I had them all. Oh, there it is. Okay. So let's recap now that you're here, Kodiak. Big thing on Sunday, big sporting event. Nobody watched that I know, but we all watched the halftime show. And I found it very entertaining. I'm not even an old school rap fan, but I thought it was nice. It was short. They had a bunch of people come up, do their songs, be done with it. It was great. The commercials were all right. They're okay. Some were good. Some were kind of like, what? And we did see the Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power trailer, which I thought was interesting. Turns out it started a shitstorm of gatekeeping and that's about it. That's all I can say really about it. I think everybody abandoned their vitriol of Star Wars long enough to find all the Lord of the Rings message boards and decry how terrible this 1-minute trailer looked. So we've got this ongoing show that's going to take place over thousands of years in a fictional land, but I can tell from this 1 minute that it's garbage. It's like, okay, well, I don't believe you. I'm going to wait until the show actually starts, and then we can find out if it's garbage or not. You know, give it a hot second before you throw gasoline on it. Of course, I'm also in the minority who thinks like the Wheel of Time show is good. I'm enjoying watching it. I'm watching the Foundation series, and I think that's good. So nobody's forever happy when you've taken something and adapted it. And the other thing is, like, what they're adapting isn't a story. They're not adapting like beat for beat manuscripts. It's like they're adapting oral histories, right? And of course there's going to be some leeway because there's going to be some very interesting parts of the story that they're going to have to kind of fill in to make dramatic to have some dramatic effect and be able to push a narrative. And it's not just this happened. Okay, well, what were everybody's motivations? Doesn't matter. This thing happened. Okay. I mean, I don't know if anybody else has read the Silmarillion. It's real boring. It's cool in that sort of, I'm reading the lore of the land. I'm reading the history of this world. But it's also not a page turner, man. It's dense and But from that, I know exactly that this TV show is going to be terrible. Well, and the danger now is that the public is starting to like have an effect on things. Now, I didn't think that Cowboy Bebop was awesome. I thought it was fine. I would watch more of it if it were out. I actually would. I did not mind it in the least. Did I think it was the best thing ever? No. Did I think the cartoon was probably better? Yes. Did I think there was a reason for them to turn it into live action? Not really, but I applaud their effort. Did I think it, garnered the absolute vitriol that spawned forth from the keyboards of the unwashed neckbeard masses? No, I do not. But guess what got it canceled? That kind of stuff. So anytime somebody's like, oh, I don't like the way that thing looks, and you're like, I've been actually looking forward to this for a while. Yeah, but it looks terrible. Well, great. You and your friends are going to get it all canceled. So thanks for speaking up. Thanks for looking out for us. Oh, speaking of video games, are you going to get, because that was what I was talking about at the bottom of the hour, are you going to get Horizon Zero Dawn when it comes out? Because I've already pre-ordered it. I'm just looking at the available to play in countdown clock on my PlayStation. And if you aren't, why not? I mean, really. Well, at least my cat's in here not eating the dog's food, so that's good. Do you have what do you play on? Just PC, console, PlayStation, Xbox? I know you play on PC at least. I didn't know if you had a console or not. It is a PlayStation exclusive game, so you won't be able to if you have anything but a PlayStation. And to be honest, it was one of the games that I got a PlayStation 4. Like, I've always had PlayStations when I had consoles. So when I saw that this game was coming out, I was like, what is this? What is this game? This looks amazing. And then I found out Battlefront was coming out. Battlefront was sort of agnostic. It was console agnostic. You could get it on other things. You couldn't necessarily play with other people on it, but you could at least get it on other consoles, so that was good. But I was like, oh, heck yeah, I'm going to get this game. Just working on these feet as I spit everywhere. All right, let's see if we can do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then also, I will say, if you haven't played the first one, the second one's I won't say that it's not going to make any sense, but you may lose a little bit. Like, I don't know how much of the story is going to be lost between the first and second one. Do. Let's see. Before you got here, what else did we talk about? There was news of the that game has a new set coming out. So there's a there's a machine, although it's kind of a character, in the game called a long neck. Now, since you're probably never going to play this game, I'm not spoiling anything because it's just kind of like a thing in the game. But these long necks are basically Brachiosaurus. The whole story is that this is Earth in like 1,000 years, right? And something's happened to it, and it's post-apocalyptic, and the humans of the world live in sort of tribal I'm just gonna make a million of these kind of tribal groups in different parts of their land, and among them are these creatures that are mostly, in fact, they're primarily machines, but they look and act like animals. So you start off with these little things that are like, they look like little velociraptors, and they've got like one big eye, but they're very bird-like, about human height. And they will go after you, right? But if left alone, most of these animals don't care about you. It's like there's predator kinds, and then there's prey kinds. There's kinds that are like bulls or antelopes or horses. There's ones that are like giant cats or T-Rexes or giant birds. And then there's this one that's called a long neck that's like a giant Brachiosaurus, but it's got a giant disc for a head. And let's see, 2, 4, 6, one more. And what you have to do is, once you find it, it basically, it doesn't care about you. It's so big that it doesn't care about you at all. It doesn't attack you. It doesn't change its course. It just wanders around this circle. And you have to figure out a way to get up on some of this, on these ruins, and jump onto it and scale it till you get to the top. And then you have this spear that can like do stuff. It like turns these animals. You're able to control the animals, right? So like you can control the horse ones, and you can ride around on them, and you can control the other ones to like attack the bad ones, kind of thing. Oh, that's why. Okay, I'm like, what? So the long necks, you climb up to the top, and it basically becomes your map. Like you control it, and it like sends this pulse out, and then suddenly the fog of war over the certain area of the map is revealed, and there's like 8 or so throughout the different level. So you have to find all of them so you can unlock different areas of the map. But it's this monstrous, 50 story, 10 story animal. That's just, it was one of the reasons I got the game, because I was like so enamored with this beast. And the mechanics of the game are real good. It's a third-person action game. It's not a shooter, really, although you do shoot arrows, but it's not. But you also have a spear that you kind of attack with, and you've got bombs and tripwires and slings. Typical kind of, not barbarian, but a little more native archetype kind of thing. And it's just like, the story's great. The way they develop the characters. Oh, jeez. How many? Times 2? Okay, so let's do these one at a time. Yeah, mechanical fauna. And then later in the game, you realize like there's a thing that kind of takes over their nature, the nature of these creatures. And oh, there's a thing. And turns them kind of evil. So you have to kind of figure out what's causing that. But the whole time you're stumbling on oh. Okay. you're stumbling on like remnants of the old world. Little bits of like the rubble of this place looks real familiar, or you find, you know, a recording of something, or you see like a tank. All the ruins are like skyscrapers and stuff. At one point, I think you run across the Golden Gate Bridge. I was really interested in it at first because I was like, this area looks really familiar. And then I was like, oh, it turns out this one area I was looking at was supposed to be Colorado Springs. That's not right, is it? Yeah, there we go. So it looked like Cheyenne Mountain or something like that. It was pretty cool. One of it looked like the Air Force Academy. I was like, that looks like the Air Force Academy. That looks really cool. All right. So there's one. Whew. Easily one of the better games I've played. But yeah, I mean, by now you haven't seen it and gone, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do, then, you know, it's all right. What else? So that has been released as that big critter has been released as a Lego set, which I'm very excited about. And it comes with an Aloy, that's the character's name, Aloy minifigure, so that's cool. Oh yeah, if you don't have a PlayStation, it's kind of like, well, what's the point? Why am I even going on about it? I think you can play it on PC now, though. I think they said that you can port it over. I don't think it's PlayStation agnostic anymore. I don't know. You may have to look that up. So the other Lego set they've come out with, or they're going to come out with, they've released, is like I was talking about earlier, the Boba Fett Palace. Pictures of that have been floating around the interwebs. And it looks pretty cool. And it's got some good figures. What the what? No, you're not. I have to turn this off. Turn my Bluetooth off because it's trying to... Oh, and there's a hockey game tonight. There's 2 hockey games tonight. What am I going to do? The U.S. men's hockey are playing and the Avalanche are playing. So yeah, Boba's Palace comes with Fennec Shan, Boba, which I think this is the first Boba set since the show started. Excuse me. It comes with Bib Fortuna, a Gamorrean guard, and a it's not a Nikto, it's a kind of the squinched face crap. It's gonna bother me now. I forget the names of that alien race. It'll come to me. But anyway, yeah, so that's out. And then also a the N1 Naboo remade starfighter, Din Djarin's Naboo starfighter. So that's out, or that's coming out. And then the Vespa. There's a Vespa coming out. So that's cool. I think I'm going to pick up all of them. Like, I don't think there's one of these sets that I'm not going to get. Wasn't even expecting the Vespa. Wasn't expecting, I was expecting the N1 fighter. I was expecting like either Jabba's Palace or a Mos Espa set. I was expecting the, I already said that, the N1. That just seemed like, he spent way too much time on that to be like, nah, we're not going to do this as a Lego set. I almost feel like they did it and went, you know what? We need to throw Lego a bit of love here. Let's just design this ship so they can have a new Lego set. And everyone went wild. Let's see. Oh, we got a trailer for the Multiverse of Madness. So that was cool. Excited about that. It looks pretty cool. It looks like crazy bananas all over the place is what it looks like. There's so much going on, and there's like 3 Doctor Stranges, and it's just going to be fun. I think that's it. I think that's all that's going on lately in the world. Yeah, other than the just absolute vitriol that... Oh, so I don't know if you knew this or not, but on the official Amazon Prime page for the trailer, everybody's commenting with this line from Tolkien talking about how evil cannot create, it can only warp, or it can only change things to suit its needs. I'm thinking it's in direct response to the fact that they don't like that something's being adapted, and so they're using this to be like all edgy. And if you look at most of the comments, they're all Russian. So I think somebody paid a firm somewhere to be a dick about this. So, oh no, I hope I didn't. Oh, okay, good. Oh, okay. Well, I put those on wrong. But I think it's funny that everybody went to great lengths to come up with this edgy comment, like whoever was the first one to do it, to say, hey, Amazon, even Tolkien said that only evil cannot create. It can only turn things that exist to its own end, as if to say, you are an evil corporation because you cannot create anything new. But they used an existing phrase to say that. So it wasn't even them being creative enough to come up with a new way of saying that. They were just quoting something, almost as if it was an homage to the person who did it originally. What? I didn't even do that right this time either. Come on, man. What's going on? I get it right one of these days. The irony is just, it explodes in everybody's faces with that. It's like the first person to say that, great. Good spot. I get it. I feel like this needs to be... But the other 100,000 people who did that, I'm like, yeah, that's, you know, that's not... That's... I mean, you're just being as evil as they are. I mean, you're not doing anything new. So, but crap like that's going to get the show canceled before it even airs. And how cool would it be to be the group of people who canceled a Lord of the Rings show? I don't know. I fail to see the point in any of that sometimes. I'm like, just let people like stuff. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean you gotta barf all over it. Oh, look at these feets. They're coming together. Look at them feets. So this is about how big the foot is. I don't have huge hands, but there you go. That's how big the feet are. So we're gonna set these over here and hopefully have enough room for bags. 27 bag 7s. So these are going to be the legs. I don't know that I'm going to be able to do this 4 at a time, and I don't know that I'm going to have any room. Can I put these on at the very end? I may have to move the feet. Oh, I have to have the feet in there. Okay, at some point. All right, well, let's see how we can do this then. Yeah, we did bully them into Sonic. To be fair, though, that Sonic was terrible. I wasn't going to bully anybody, but truth be told... Okay, this is ridiculous. This is one bag. Alright, I obviously don't need this anymore today. Hope everybody enjoyed the shot of the crack of my butt. I'm gonna put these somewhere too. I don't know where. Maybe just down on the ground. Let's go right here. Just to get them out of the way for a little bit. So we have enough room for these 27 bags. Nightmare Tales. Does it say times 4? Please say it says times 4. I just assume it means times 4. Yeah. Times 4. All right. Well, let's see if it can be done. Oh, goodness. So many half pins. I mean, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and I was like, "Yeah, that's Sonic movie," and they're like, "It wasn't bad." I'm like, "Really?" They're like, "Yeah, it wasn't bad." I almost felt like saying, "I have no faith in your choice of movies anymore." I mean, I guess it was fun. Plus, I know a lot of people who are a lot younger than I am who Sonic was just their whole world. It was basically Mario again. Good gravy. This is just entirely too much. And this bag has bags in it. Yeah, this could have been split up. Lego, I'm looking at you. Huh, alright, well, maybe if it's on HBO or something, I'll give it a shot. I kind of like James Marsden. I was sad when he left, when he wanted out of the X-Men franchise so he could be in Spider-Man for like 2 seconds. But this is ridiculous. I do not have enough room for all this. Alright, let's move all this. I have to see if I can move my camera a little bit. Yeah, camera can't even take in the glory that is all these bags. Okay, so in this one step, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bags. 12 bags. I'm going to take a picture of this. I almost feel like there's going to be no way I'm not going to be able to do this 4 at a time. I'm complaining so hard about this, and it's just what I want to be doing with my life anyway. So, ooh, look, that's pretty. That's a pretty piece. That color, that dark pink. Okay, so we're gonna make enough room to do all this work. At some point, I may go grab another beer. I can only do about 10 ounces of that to start, because otherwise it's a lot. I'm not at a pub where I'm gonna be like just drinking for the next little bit. Gotta focus. Gotta be on the bricks. Those pieces. Is that them? Oh man. Wow. That crap right there is why this is like an 18 plus set. There's no way little kids would be able to do that. Okay, you're trying to get that little bit in there. Yeah, I held that up really good. This little bit in that hole right there, but it's like, it's very stiff. It's not very forgiving. Well, this may be why I don't come over to Twitch versus YouTube. Because, Kodiak, I love your company, but if I'm going to keep having like 0 or 1 viewer every night, I could just do this by myself and watch hockey. You know? I was going to like ask people in here to like give me ideas for like stuff to have in the chat and emotes and things like that, but I don't kind of see the point if there's nobody here. dark one. I'm afraid to like disturb any of these piles because I feel like I don't want them spreading too far into neighboring piles. I got a piles problem. Let's see, what else can I blather on about? Oops. I don't think that matters, but get it right. So we had a very interesting day. Was it Sunday? I think so. No, it was Friday or Saturday. Hanging out with the football. I think I talked about this with the football supporter groups at a local brewery. That was fun. Brought in some friends who didn't know what the whole thing was about and kind of was like a bit much for them. Maybe we should try Instagram Live. What I should be doing is getting back to designing stuff, because I don't really care if anybody's really watching, honestly. Just do that. I feel I have got away from the pure faith. But I've been doing it for a couple years, and it gets to be a point where I feel like I may have maxed out the viability of the muse kind of thing. I've tapped the well dry. Next. Yeah, you say that. I think the only people who have like super, like, they have to kind of like have built-in fan bases already. I feel like Bricknick has a huge fan base. I think Bricks O'Brien, because he's come in with Bricknick and Beyond the Brick, have pretty big ones. But I think, honestly, unless you're like supplementing this with playing a game, nobody's gonna watch. Like the problem is I've like run into a lot of people doing this on Twitch, and I sit there and I talk to them on their channel for like, you know, a half hour or something like that, and I'm like, okay, I want to, you know, I've followed you, I'm going to talk to you for a little bit, a little quid pro quo kind of thing. You follow me on mine, we'll chat on mine, and then go back and forth a little bit. And I've been doing that for like 2 years now. And there's just no reciprocation on top of it. So it's not only it's hard to find new people, it's hard to find people to engage with who are doing the same thing as you. It's like, look, let's be on each other's channels. Let's raid. Let's do some stuff. But I just can't figure it out. Bored in the Basement, or not Bored in the Basement. I'm Bored Toys has a pretty big following of people too, but it's him and I forget their names now. She does cartooning, but also builds, and then he mostly builds. But they're very funny and they're cute. I mean, if I could play games, I might, but I don't want to like spend my time setting up a gaming rig just to be able to have people watch while I play video games. I think that's weird. I say as I'm having people watch while I build Lego. But I'll just keep doing this. You know, I'm not paying for anything by doing this. I've got the equipment already. Got the Lego. Oh, have you seen the trailers for the new show on Peacock, Bel Air? I don't know if it's also going to be on NBC or if it's just Peacock, in which case you might not watch it because I don't know who's got Peacock other than me. But it's like a dramatic take on the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. So I wasn't really sure about it, but I showed it to Beth and she was like, "Oh my God, that looks amazing." So I mean, I guess we're watching it. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, oh, that's a cool game. I'm going to go get that game. That's kind of why I was watching it for a while. Beth was like, "Why do you watch people playing games?" I'm like, because maybe it's a game I want. Watching somebody play the game is better than watching a trailer for the game, because then you actually get to see what it's like to play it. And if people are having problems, or if they're really frustrated with the game, or if you're watching it going, "Oh, this is a lot more puzzly than I wanted," or it's a lot more adventure-y than I wanted, then you know not to get it. But this crap. I never want a set again that has to do this kind of garbage. Putting a Technic pin inside these boxes, I hate it. I hate it, Lego. Don't make me do it anymore. Times 2 times 4, so I need to do 8 of these. I haven't watched a whole lot of speed runs. I've been trying to watch just more Twitch, like if I get bored, and instead of going through my YouTube stuff and just watching pre-made videos, to go watch a little more like live stuff. I haven't been able to really like settle into it though. Because for the most part, I don't really care about video games as much. So I guess that's part of the problem. I mean, I do. I will get a game now and then. But it's usually... I don't get a ton of games. What the what? Oh, this is all. Did that lock in for everybody? Where did that lock? Oh, okay. This again times 2, which means times 4 again, times 8. Look, it's a little Starship Enterprise. The red, right? Yep. I watched a Beyond the Brick video today, and I've stopped watching Beyond the Brick videos. I feel like it's all kind of the same thing. Getting really kind of burnt out on it, but this one was great. It was a dude unpacking his van from a convention. Like, he went to a convention, displayed a bunch of stuff, came home, and John, the guy who does the videos usually, was asking him, show us how you unpack all your stuff. And so he's like, all right, here I go. And it was just a dude unpacking all his cabinets and stuff from his bins. Oh. That doesn't work at all. And he had a moving van full of bins and just loose tables full of stuff. I was like, this is actually more interesting than a lot of builds, because I think for a large group of people, their concern is, how do I pack things? How do I build things to be displayed? How do I build things and pack things to be driven around, to the other side of the country, or to be packed on a plane or something? And I thought it was really fascinating. Oh, God. No, go away. So it was really cool. I thought it was a very interesting sort of take on videos. It's like, it wasn't just, here's a neat mock, or here's a review of a set. It's like, here's kind of a wider world of like how people work on convention stuff, It's very interesting. At least to me it was. Now there's 2 of these, so make sure they're the same size. I mean, this pile of half pins is just insane. It's a little ridiculous. And I'm going to complain about it all the way to the last page of the instructions. These are some serious gears and gearboxes. I'm really worried about the stability and the size of this thing, if this is what we're looking at for knees. It is kind of impressive. Notice on this one, there's nothing in that box. It's just the pin sitting in there. That's it. That's all it does. I just never want what make to grow bland. I just never want what I make to grow bland or predictable. Yeah, after doing this a couple years, I feel like I'm starting to get to that point where it's like I'm just that guy who does microfighters. But at the same time, I'm like, I really enjoy doing it. So it may be bland and unpredictable to other people, but as long as I'm okay with it. Okay, there's a lot in this one, so 2 of those, 2 of these, Yeah, I'm not daytime television. I'm not Big Bang Theory. Man, I watched Big Bang Theory like everybody for a hot minute. And I watched a lot of it and I binged it. And then afterwards I was like, why did I do that? Like, I didn't grow as a person. They didn't grow as people. Like, it was the same stuff for like 7 years. I hope the wedding thing's not a regular thing. Hey, Beth, we got to get married every year. Oh, well, I appreciate that. Which is why you're a mod on my channel. The weird thing is I can't even get, like, the other Lug members to show up with any regularity. Like, I think they did it first, but they started, you know... And I get it, it's not a regular thing, but... I don't know. For some people, like, viewing Twitch content is a regular thing, and they'll do... It's like, you tune in to CSI Miami every week. You know, why don't you do the same and support a local artist? I bet you if I was doing drawing, I would get a lot more people. I found it amusing, but not in a way that I think would have kept me much longer than it did. Like, it was great to have on in the background for a while. But it really wasn't like, it wasn't appointment TV for me. I would turn it on and like do other things. Which, I mean, I can say the same about Star Trek. You know, like the original show hasn't been around for 40 years. Oh, and if you haven't... Well, okay, fair enough. Well, and you do your own stuff too, so when you have time and you know, downtime to do that, I know you do your own stuff. Your bear stream. If you're a Star Trek fan of any caliber and you haven't really kept, or you haven't really watched the original series, do yourself a favor. It is so cringy. And I hate using that word and sounding like a modern day, I don't know what, but I mean, it is kind of cringy. It's still like some of it. So here's the thing. I can see where a lot of the genesis, no pun intended, of the phenomenon came from by watching this. Like, it took itself very seriously. It tried to be Navy in space. It tried to be, this is what human beings will do in the future. And what better way to base it off of than like modern day Navy? You know, they've got ships, they've got hierarchy, they've got command structure, they've got the hardware. If there was any group that would have been ideal for expansion and exploration, it was probably the Navy. I would maybe say the Air Force too a little bit, but I mean, whatever. It's still really cool. And so lots of that is very neat. Like, you can see where they took a lot of influence from modern, or at least in the 60s, modern day military. And it's interesting to see what they felt was the future in 1960. And you can do that with just about any movie or anything, but there are certain words that they use all the time, like tape. Like, everything's going to tape. We're going to be taping this. It's on the data tapes, you know. They really felt like tapes were going to be the thing in the future. What is that piece? I've never seen this piece before. That's just like a straight up real long pin. Interesting. Oh, and it has to go through. Oh no, you just kind of set it in here. Okay. I can dig it. So it's cool. Now the non-cool parts are the fact that there's a lot of breathless women needing help from the hunky guys, and it's that's a little much, right? So you're like, really? Do I have to? It's hard to sit through. Oh, good. My friends are debating my funeral. That's fun to hear. But it's on my break a leg playlist. It's fine enough to put on in the background because once you get through a few of them, the first few are kind of rough too because they juggled the continuity is a little weird. They juggled the release dates on some of them, and some of them got like redone as a kind of a special two-parter that kind of went back and looked at the original pilot, and so it's a little funky. But there are really some cool bits of world building, at least in it, and I can see why it was a big thing. You know, there really wasn't anything like it. And Desilu Productions, Lucille Ball and her group really knew how to promote it and really knew what time slot to put it in and how to produce it. And I mean, they crushed it. Because honestly, a show like this even now is like, really? Oh, and here's the absolute worst. I'm going to put this whole thing in here just like that and then seal it in forever. Oh, that's just... Why? Hopefully that comes out easy later. I take it back. There was that one thing in here that I was like, oh, see, they learned their lesson. Nope. Okay, flip it over and then attach it. Okay. Flip it over and attach it. I also want to go back, I think, and watch, because I haven't watched some of the movies in a while too. I have so much trouble sitting down and watching stuff, so I have a break leg playlist for, if I ever break a leg, okay. I thought it was like a reference to like theater, and I'm like, stuff to do while you're backstage getting ready to go on stage? I don't understand the break a leg part of that, but I get you. Your flu playlist. I am going to put this on pause real quick. I'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. I'm just going to grab a beer. Be right back. Okay, welcome back. There we go. Got us Thirsty Goats. Pretty standard for me. I'm liking it. Let's see. Okay, so we got that attached. Now we need 4 pins to go in this middle area. I don't have a break a leg playlist. I've been telling people that I want to watch this, and so I should probably just watch this now. I think that's one of the that's a I don't know that we've had anything in the past like it. but there's a lot of the conversation because there's just so much to watch. New stuff, new good stuff, that you're never going to be able to watch all of it. Like, you could stay up 20 hours a day and every day and not work and still not be able to get to all the things that you really want to be able to watch. Like old movies, new shows, new movies, documentaries. There was a time when I had curated, me and my ex-girlfriend had 1,000 movies to watch before you die, or some film societies top 1001 films or something like that. And so we started churning through them. We marked all the ones off that we hadn't seen, and we're like, okay, well, let's vote, or we just don't even vote. We just go down the list. It's like, what's next? All right, we haven't seen this. Neither of us have seen this. You go through the ones that neither of you have seen, and then you go through the ones that one of you has seen. But then, like, shortly after that, we broke up. I still have the list somewhere, and it's really easy to get like 1,000 greatest movies of all time. So what I was doing is I was just going to the library, and this is before, like, well, not even before, but it was like, if I couldn't find them on Netflix, I would go to the library and just go through whatever DVDs they had and be like, yep, I need this. Oh, and here's where all the Goram, is that 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. God, there's going to be a lot of half pins. These half pins are going to be the death of me, yo. 1. So I went through and watched a bunch of like old movies that I hadn't seen before, and some classics that everybody's like, you haven't seen this yet? Those were the first to usually go. Is like, you haven't seen this yet? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. The biggest shock that I had was I don't remember. So some of them, like, you know what? I'm going to get this. I don't remember seeing it, but I'm going to watch it again to be like fresh in my mind. And then realizing you'd never seen it. Like, there were bits of something you're like, nope, never seen this. I thought for sure I had seen. Now this was now probably 7 or so years ago. When my ex and I broke up, I was just crushed. This was before Beth and I met. And I was just like miserable. So I was just like, I'm just going to watch movies and life sucks, right? So I thought for sure. So I spent one Christmas and I watched like 10 movies around Christmas break. And now I can't remember the name of it. Spinal Tap. I thought for sure I had seen Spinal Tap before. I'm like, I remembered scenes. I knew lines. It was such a cultural identity thing to know lines from that movie and know what the movie was about and to know the style of the movie and who was in it and who directed it, that I was like, yeah, I've seen Spinal Tap. Nah, never seen it before. I watched it with brand new eyes. I was like, what is going on? Why? Are you kidding me? I'd never seen this before. It was not great. I will say that. Like, I was like, oh, well, that was not... I think it would have been better, like, seeing it at a certain time than watching it in 2014, 13, something like that. 1, 2... Oh, I'm missing one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Another one that I didn't really care for, The Godfather. So here's the thing. I don't remember ever seeing The Godfather. I knew, like, the characters involved, and I don't know why I never saw it. I mean, it came out, the original was like 73 or something, and 74. And I want to say I was just too young to have seen it in the theater. My parents were probably too young to be able to take a baby to the theater. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I'm kind of off camera here, but I'm just putting in half pins. So, and I never like made myself go see it after that until recently, and it was not great. Like it's on the list of like greatest movies of all time, and I was like, I am bored out of my mind, and not bored because it was, you know, it wasn't chock full of action or anything. There were some shoot 'em ups, and there were some dramatic parts where people might die because of something. I was just like, this isn't a great movie. Like the first third or so of it is fine. Like the wedding stuff is all good. It's all pretty good because you're introduced to like a world and some characters, and you start like identifying or rooting for what's his name? Not Duvall. Can't remember the actor's name now. Anyway, you're rooting for him most of the time. And then, you know, not to spoil a 50-year-old movie or whatever, but he gets gunned down later and you're like, oh, well, fuck. Glad I did that. But it's just, it felt meandering and it felt unfocused. Like I really wasn't sure what they were trying to do with the movie. I was like, am I supposed to be cheering for the mob or the cops or the Stooges or the Stoolies or something? It was just, I didn't. And so I didn't go back and watch, because of that, I didn't go back and watch Godfather 2, which I hear is a better movie. But I'm like, you know what? One didn't hold me. I'm not going to do it again. So, I don't know. So I feel like now I'm a little leery on watching old movies that are good. You know, watch these good movies. I hear someone walking in here. I'm gonna go till 10 probably.
Okay.
What? Are you,
I'm still waiting for my team to ask me something.
to ask me something?
Yeah.
I just got a text from the ladies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were they were talking about what my funeral would be like. Well, basically they're like, who would be more upset about at your funeral? I was like, oh, and Claire, Cheryl goes, survey says it would be Claire. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. Yeah, all right, I'll come find you. I mean, it's just me and Kodiak chatting. I think he may have fallen asleep too, so. He's had a rough day. I don't know, he may have had a rough day, who knows. I'm projecting. So what do you need? What's up?
Mom wanted to know if you wanted her and Dad to come help out after my surgery.
Help out?
If you think it would be helpful, just to help around the house while you work and like take care of me while you work.
Oh my God, you are so pathetic.
No, they asked. I mean, I said, I told them, I was like, I would love for you guys to come just because I'd love to see you guys, but, like...
I'll tell you what, I don't need any help.
Okay, I'll let them know.
I, however, think you would appreciate them being here as a comfort, and if they would like to come visit you in your time of need, I think that would be sweet. But
I would like them to come, but I'm also so worried about COVID.
Yeah, and Beatrix not having somebody to take care of her.
Yeah.
So I'm okay.
Okay.
I can cook. I can clean.
Oh, I know. I was like, Ben is very capable, but I will ask him.
Yeah, if they want to come out, great, but I don't need it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I love you.
I love you too. It's been a good day actually. Did a second birthday dinner with my mom, but I'm here. Okay. Cool. Second birth. Yes, we know about first birthdays, but I don't think he knows about second birthdays. Don't think he knows about second birthdays, Pip. Do you do a birthday week? Are you at the age now? Because I know that we're at the age where it's birthday week, birthday month. But we're old. Well, I'm old. Beth is older than you, I think. Maybe the same age. I don't know. I think older. But yeah, it's like, it's my birthday week. Just an excuse to go out and get dinner, go drinking, see a movie, chill out, not wear clothes, wear fancy clothes, you know, that kind of thing. What? It's the sub-assemblies that are killing me. Two and three. So I'm still no farther along in my journey to have Lego pay for Lego. I know the specifics of it. I might try to do... Here's the thing. I'm trying to save for a trip. We've got plane tickets to Hawaii, so now I'm saving for like being able to get a decent hotel, spend some money while we're out there, have, you know, a nice memorable time. But at the same time, I'm also like, the Vespa's coming out. There's a bunch of sets coming out, and this would be an opportune time, I think, but I don't know, to buy a couple of each and just hang on to them, you know. But, you know, a $200 Vespa, $150 Vespa, that's a $300 purchase. Let's see, what else was coming out? I think the Boba Fett set's probably 100. The Aloy is probably, it said 70. I could at least do 2 of those. But that kind of thing, where I think I need to start buying a little extra and see if I could start building up a backlog so I can start selling them off at a later date so I can pay for new stuff as it comes out. That's the plan, but I feel like that's also kind of like, I don't need it to be my retirement. Like, I'm not planning on retiring off all the Lego that I've got, because that is just not going to happen. I'm too far gone into my life to worry about that. All right, got a stack of legs there. Oh, turn them around. Put some more half pins in, buddy. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, same places then. I feel a little fortunate that I'm able to at least consider doing that. It's not like I don't foresee at any point having a problem getting the new sets that are coming out. But I'm also not. Did I miss that completely? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. I think I missed some on a previous step. It says 7, but it shows 9. So unless it put a couple in already on a previous step, I didn't see it. I also just don't want... It's going to look like I'm just spending to Beth and probably to, like, the rest of the family, that I'm just, like, buying for no reason. But it's hard to say, well, you know, in 2 years when these retire, I can use these sets, not to, like, I'm not looking to make a ton of money. You know, I'm not looking to be like, oh, I've got this, I'm going to hang on to it for 10 years, and then I'm going to sell it for $5,000. That's not the goal. The goal is to be like, I have a bank account that, oh, maybe that was it. No, that should be fine. That has all the stuff that I sell, and I just use that to pay for Lego. And I've talked about this ad nauseum. I feel like it's a fear thing. Like, I'm just not, it's a little scary being like, all right, I'm gonna spend a ton of money and I may like screw it up and not be able to eat or eat ramen for a couple months while I do this. But let's see how it goes. What I would have liked is for the microfighter instruction business to have taken off a little better than I did. And I realize I'm a little out of practice with making instructions and putting them up on Rebrickable, but I don't know, I didn't feel like that was a paradigm that was well executed. I feel like microfighters may be making a little bit of a comeback, but not anything that warrants major investment. Okay, well, the yellow plates. Anybody else see a yellow plate around here? Then oh, there it is. I don't know why I got it pushed all the way over there. Three tile. Something else I would like to be able to do, I think, more in the coming years is go to more Lego conventions. Just kind of network a little bit more and talk to people. I think the online community for networking and talking to people, unless I'm just doing it wrong, it just doesn't seem like it's really all there. And I don't know if, like, I feel like I maybe, at some points I feel like I'm not doing it right. Because I see a lot of people reaching out and doing, you know, streams with a lot of people and talking about meeting other people up for things and going to conventions, and I feel like I'm missing out on some of the community, and I don't know why. I'm putting myself out there and I'm talking to people, and it feels like a very, very lonely hobby, despite the fact that I'm trying to be involved in all this stuff. I don't know. I think a lot of people are kind of in the same boat where they're like, yeah, I've been doing this for a while, and it's me doing my own stuff. I don't know. I should be reading from like books right now just to see how long it takes to get banned. I'll go get my copy of Mouse and just read from that and show the pictures while I'm reading, see how long it takes. Pretty sure that's not right. But how long would it take for them to find out that I'm doing it? I did have a stint where I wanted to do voice acting, and so I thought, well, it'd be good to get my feet in the door somehow, and So I went and this was purely this. I felt bad about this, but it was purely selfish reasons to do it. But I went and volunteered at the Reading for the Blind place where you basically read textbooks or fiction or whatever and record it, and then that's for blind students, blind readers, whatever, to kind of check out, and it's just kind of a service provided. I forget who it's through, but yeah, they have volunteers that go in and they just read. They sit in a studio and read books all day. I'm like, that sounds great, actually. So I went, and they're like, yeah, you got to do like 6 months of being the people who listen to them record it. Like, you get to sit outside of the booth and just follow along to make sure they don't miss anything while they're reading, and making sure that the recordings are proper and all this stuff. So you have to like mark down everything and just say, okay, we got to take it back to this, and be like a producer. And I almost felt like going, no, like that's not why I signed up to do this. I want to read. But so that didn't last very long. I think I went for a month or something, maybe a little longer, maybe a couple months. But I was just like, nope, this isn't really what I wanted. I thought it was going to be reading books at this point, trying out my vocal skills. There was one guy, though. He was amazing. There was this dude who was probably how old I am now, maybe a little older. A lot of these people are like older retired people, too, and they were volunteering because they didn't, fill in their days and whatever. Passion projects, maybe a little bit. Flip and a bunch of half pins. God bless it. He had a stroke. Don't know if he's still with us or not, but he had a stroke before I was there. And the side of his face, he had it's not the palsy, but the paralysis would you get from a stroke on one side of the face. And his speech slurred a little when he read. I'm like, that's really interesting. I wonder how he's able to read. And I found out he read like French history. I was like, that's really, or it was either the French history or French literature. And since I had mentioned that I had taken some French, they paired me with him. They're like, how's your French? And I'm like, très mal. So they put me with him. When he would read, he would stretch the side of his face. He would sit here like this. And so he would have, because it was mostly like this, but when he stretched it out, it would... And he just sat there and read all this French, and his diction was great, and he spoke pretty decent French. I was like, wow. It's good to know if I ever have a stroke, I can come read for the blind. It's pretty incredible. Oh, that is... Okay, I'm going to have to use my teeth, and I apologize. Nope, I'm going to go get some pliers. Hang on. I had put 2 of those half pins in the wrong spot, so I got to pull one out. And I hate doing this because it's going to screw up the pins, but usually what I do with this is I'll get a broken rubber band and put it around whatever I'm doing so not to scratch it, but that's if it's not the Technic half pin that are worth like almost 0 to anybody. It had cost you money to bend over and pick up a half pin. All right, so I've decided that I don't care what time this gets finished, but I think we'll just end when this gets done. If that's in 10 minutes, if that's in a half hour, so be it. And then on Thursday, we'll finish the globe on YouTube. Or we'll work on the globe. I don't know if it'll finish it, but... I almost feel like at some point I'm missing pins somewhere, but it's so hard to tell. Yay, not Technic stuff. All right. Plate, plate, plate. Boom, boom, boom. And then these guys. I get excited when we get back into the system bricks and not the Technic bricks. Do not like building with Technic. If I wanted to build with Technic, I would have bought a Technic set. I say that I've used quite a bit of Technic on my grayscale moon base. I say moon base, it could be any base, space base. Six. I am a little awestruck at how much gray I'm using in that base because I am almost out of a lot of it. So like gray, long gray bricks, like longer than a 1x6, I'm almost out of any decent colors. Like I've got some really garbage old gray and whatnot, and it's kind of unfortunate because I used some of the early stuff down on the low walls, and the upper parts of it are now it's really gross gray. I'm like, ugh. But I don't necessarily want to go buy a bunch of new stuff. I mean, I've had this stuff for years, so... No reason to just hang on to it and not do anything with it. Oh, goodness. Okay. So another one of these. And then two of these. Yeah, I think if I wasn't streaming while I was building, I would totally be watching Star Trek or hockey. And in fact, a lot of the times when I say, hey, okay, I'm going to be done for the night, like I could be done in 5 minutes and then go watch hockey for another half hour and finish all this up. Which sounds actually pretty delightful. You wouldn't mind if I did that, did you? Would you? All one of you out there? Might turn on some hockey and finish that game. I mean, it started at 7:30. That's 2 hours, right? I have no set schedule on Twitch yet either. I can just... I know, like, when they say when you're getting started, they're like, have an established schedule so people know when they can tune in to watch. I'm like, do people really plan their days around that? Like, do they go, oh, no, it's time for whatever his name is and his speed runs, or... I usually just, like, subscribe to somebody and then wait for the alerts and say, oh... they're doing stuff. I'll watch. So, if I go till 9:30 or if I go till 10, I don't think it matters. All right, yeah, I think I'm gonna call it. Been going for a while anyway, so I'm gonna finish all this up, watching some hockey or Star Trek or something. But thanks for being here, Kodiak. Sorry there wasn't more people to chat with. I don't know how else to make that happen to make it more interesting. I post all this everywhere. It's just kind of weird being a niche Twitch person. Yeah, don't know. So thanks for being here again. I'll be over on YouTube on Thursday. I might turn the YouTube things into doing some panel stuff. So if you want to hang out and chat, I can always sort and stuff and have some people on and we can talk about stuff. So yeah, thanks for being here. And yeah, I'll see you in a couple days. Have a good night.